There is a mystery that has puzzled archaeologists, explorers, and treasure hunters for nearly 800 years.
The story is simple.
That's not pirate treasure. It's not the golden city of El Dorado. It's not the tomb of the Egyptian pharaohs either. Rather, it is the final resting place of the man who built the greatest empire in human history. An empire that stretched from the Pacific coast all the way to Europe. A person whose very name strikes fear into the hearts of the entire world. Genghis Khan. The strange thing is, we know he's dead, but no one knows where he was buried. There is no tomb, there are no gravestones, there is no map, no trace found. The tomb of the world conqueror seems to have vanished from history. And today, we are about to embark on an expedition, a journey through the Mongolian steppes, bloody battles, ancient legends, and secrets buried for centuries. To find the answer to the question, where is Genghis Khan's tomb located?
If you had the chance to find the most mysterious tomb in history, will you unearth it or let it lie dormant forever? Save that answer for the end of the video, because what we are about to discover is far stranger.
To uncover the secret of Genghis Khan's lost tomb, first, we have to go back in time. Let's go back almost 900 years, arriving in a place that is cold, harsh, and almost completely isolated from the rest of the world, the Mongolian steppes, where the sky stretches endlessly, a place where the winter winds can kill entire herds of livestock in a single night. And in places where children are born, they have to learn how to survive before they learn how to speak. Around 1162, a child was born on the banks of the Onon River. His name is Temujin. Legend says that when he was born, the boy had a blood clot in his hand. The Mongols believed it was a sign of a great warrior. But at that time, no one could have imagined that this child would change world history. Temujin's family belonged to the aristocratic class of the Borjigin tribe. His father was Yasu Chai, a well-known leader in the region. Life was relatively stable at first, but fate quickly changed. When Temujin was only 9 years old, his father was poisoned by a rival tribe. That death triggered a catastrophe. Those who had been loyal left immediately. The family was abandoned in the middle of the prairie. No security guard, no military, no food. They became outcasts. The years that followed were a real struggle for survival. His mother had to dig up wild roots, catching fish, hunt small animals, to raise the children. There were days when the whole family had to go hungry. There were days when they didn't know if they would live to see the next morning. It was in that context Temujin learned his first lesson. On the prairie, the weak have no place. He began training. Learned to ride a horse, archery, hunt, fight, and most importantly, he learned how to judge people. He understood that the greatest power was not the sword. It's loyalty, not loyalty. This would later become the foundation for the entire Mongol Empire. But that was before he became the Great Khan. He had to go through an even more terrifying test. He was once captured as a prisoner of war. He was shackled with wooden shackles. They were treated like slaves. But through perseverance and resourcefulness, Temujin has escaped. From that moment on, he was no longer a hunted boy. He began to become a hunter. And the first goal, it is the entire Mongolian steppe. At the end of the 12th century, Mongolia is like a sea of fire. The tribes were constantly at war. These acts of revenge have lasted for generations. The alliance formed and then dissolved after only a few months. No one believed that this land could be unified, but Temujin thought differently. He wanted more than just to be the leader of a tribe. He wanted to rule everything. Initially, he gathered a group of loyal friends, those who helped him during his difficult years. Next came the young warriors, people who lacked status but possessed competence. This is something completely new. In most tribes at that time, power belongs to the bloodline. But Temujin gave opportunities to talented people. Despite his humble origins, if you fight well, they could still become generals. This is what led thousands of people to voluntarily follow him. Battles ensued. Each tribe was defeated. Some submitted, some were wiped out. Traitors are punished extremely severely, but loyal people are always rewarded accordingly. Gradually, Temujin's influence spread throughout the steppe. By 1206, an unprecedented event occurred. The most powerful Mongolian leaders gathered in a massive assembly. Thousands of warriors filled the steppe. The flags fluttered in the wind, and in front of everyone, Temujin was revered as the Great Khan. He received a new title, Genghis Khan. The title means something like, Great Ruler of the Vast Ocean. That moment, world history has entered a new chapter. Because from now on, his wars would no longer be confined to Mongolia. The next goal, it's the outside world.
If you were a warrior standing in the middle of the ceremony that day, do you believe that the leader before you will conquer more than half the world? Or would you think it's just a pipe dream? Perhaps many people at that time asked themselves the same question, but the answer was coming sooner than anyone imagined.
After the unification of Mongolia, Genghis Khan was not one to sit idly by. He looked south. This is where the wealthy Kim family lives. He looked to the west, home to the prosperous cities of Central Asia, and he saw an opportunity. No one considered the Mongols a major threat. They were simply nomadic horsemen from a distant land. But very quickly, the world realized it had misjudged the situation. The Mongol army was unlike any other army. Every warrior was a skilled archer. They can shoot accurately while riding at high speed, a skill that very few armies at that time possessed. They move fast, extremely disciplined, and they almost never fight the way their opponent expects. One of the most well-known tactics is to feign a retreat. The opponent thought they had won. They immediately launched a pursuit, but that was just a trap. When the opposing team's formation is stretched, the Mongol cavalry unexpectedly turned back, attacked from all sides. Thousands of arrows rained down like a storm. Many powerful armies were annihilated in just a few hours. But tactics aren't the scariest thing. The scariest thing is psychological warfare. Before attacking a city, the Mongols often send messages: surrender or be destroyed. If we surrender, they might be spared. If they resist, the consequences would be terrible. After a few campaigns, that reputation spread across the continent. Many cities opened their gates and surrendered as soon as they heard news that the Mongol army was approaching. Fear becomes a weapon, and Genghis Khan used it extremely effectively. In just a few decades, the Mongol Empire expanded at an unprecedented rate. Vast lands lay successively at the foot of the Great Khan, from the Central Asian desert, reached the fertile plains of Persia. The footprints of steppe knights can be found everywhere.
Imagine a morning, you wake up in a peaceful city, and we receive news that the Mongol army was only a few days' journey away. You will prepare for battle. Should we try to escape? That's a question millions of people faced 800 years ago, and for many people, they don't get a second chance. Because the storm named Genghis Khan is sweeping across the world at an unstoppable speed.
By the early years of the 13th century, Genghis Khan was no longer the leader of a few nomadic tribes. He became a nightmare for the entire Eurasian continent. In China, the northern strongholds were falling one after another. In Central Asia, merchants whispered among themselves about an army that appeared and then vanished like ghosts. In Persia, the kings began receiving reports that were terrifying beyond belief. Armies numbering in the tens of thousands were routed in just a few days. The fortresses, once considered impregnable, were razed to the ground. Bustling cities suddenly turned into piles of rubble. But what terrified the world wasn't just the military might of the Mongols. It's about speed. Genghis Khan's army moved at an almost unbelievable speed. A Mongolian warrior typically owned many horses. When one gets tired, they switch to another. That allowed them to travel further than any other army at the time. Many troops had not yet received the news. Then the Mongols appeared at the city gates. Then they disappeared before reinforcements arrived. They didn't fight like European knights. Don't field a heavy, cumbersome team. Avoid engaging in prolonged, direct battles. Instead, they utilized mobility, discipline, and psychological warfare. One famous tactic of the Mongols was to feign defeat. They turned and ran away. The enemy thought they had won. They immediately launched a pursuit. But that's the trap. After being lured in for hours or days, the opposing team's formation gradually became disorganized. The soldiers were tired. The line stretched on. And at that very moment, the Mongol cavalry suddenly turned around from all directions. Arrows rained down from the sky. The chase quickly turned into a massacre. Many of the most powerful armies of the era collapsed in that way.
Imagine you are a soldier in the Middle Ages. You've been chasing your enemy for 2 days. You think you're about to win. Then suddenly I realized I was the prey. Just thinking about it is terrifying. But that was only a part of Genghis Khan's war machine. What also set him apart was his approach to organizing the army. Instead of relying on lineage or status, he promoted talented people. A warrior from a humble background can still rise to the rank of general if they prove their capabilities. This was extremely rare in the feudal world at that time. Thanks to that, the Mongol army attracted the best men, the most loyal people, and those who are willing to fight to the very end. Besides, the empire's communication system was also far ahead of its time. The relay stations were built at intervals of tens of kilometers. Horses are always available. Messengers can move at incredible speeds. Information from the front lines could quickly reach the Great Khan. This allowed him to control a vast empire far more effectively than many of his rivals. But war doesn't just bring victory. It also brings terror. In many campaigns, cities that resist fiercely often pay a heavy price. Some places were completely destroyed. Stories of such brutality spread across the continent, and sometimes that is exactly what Genghis Khan wanted, because fear is also a weapon. When a city hears that its neighbor has been wiped out, they tend to surrender before the war even begins. Thanks to that, the Mongols could have expanded their territory even faster. Gradually, Genghis Khan's empire stretched from the Pacific coast all the way to Central Asia. After he passed away, his descendants continued to expand the territory. This made the Mongol Empire the largest land-based empire in human history. The world map changed completely at that time. The trade routes were interconnected. Civilizations that were once far apart began to make contact with each other. Goods from China can reach the Middle East. Knowledge from Persia may have spread to the east. Travelers, merchants, and scholars began to journey through lands previously inaccessible due to war and fragmentation. That is the greatest paradox about Genghis Khan. He was the one who started countless wars, but at the same time, it also created a network of connections unprecedented in history. He destroyed many cities, but it also opened up new trade routes. He instilled fear, but it also changed the world forever. And when his power reached its peak, no one knew that the time allotted to the Great Khan was running out. On the horizon, a bigger secret awaits. The secret behind the death of the world conqueror.
The year 1227. During a military operation, Genghis Khan died suddenly, but the real reason remains a mystery. Some say he fell off his horse, some say he was wounded in battle, others believe he died of illness. There are even legends that say he was assassinated. Nobody knows for sure. But the strangest thing happened next. His remains have vanished from history. No one knows where it is buried. None of the records reveal the location. As if he had never existed. According to legend, Genghis Khan's remains were brought back to Mongolia. The convoy passed through wherever it went. Anyone who happened to see them was killed. The goal is very simple. No one should be allowed to know where the Great Khan is buried. Upon arrival, they buried him in absolute secrecy. Then thousands of horses were allowed to run through the area. All traces were erased. Those who participated in the burial also disappeared. Some legends even say they were killed to keep the secret. If this is true, that was probably the most successful campaign to conceal a tomb in history. Summer of 1227. Genghis Khan has passed away, and from that moment on, one of the longest manhunts in human history has begun. Initial, no one actually went looking for his grave, because the Mongols did everything they could to keep it a secret. In their culture, the resting place of the Great Khans is sacred land. No outsiders are permitted to trespass. Stories about mysterious funeral processions gradually became legends. Then the legend turned into a myth, and the legend has become the greatest mystery in the world of archaeology. For centuries, nobody knows where to begin the search. There is no map. There are no precise records. There are no identifying signs. Only stories passed down orally through generations exist. Some legends say that Genghis Khan was buried on the summit of a sacred mountain. Others say he lies deep within a secret valley. Some people believe he was buried at the bottom of the river. Let the water wash away all traces. But all of that is just speculation. No one has proof. No one has the answer. And then, the 20th century arrived. Science began to join the hunt. Archaeologists from all over the world are flocking to Mongolia. They brought with them the most advanced technologies of the time: aerial camera, topographic map, survey equipment, tools that our ancestors could never have imagined. But the tomb has disappeared. Just think about it. You have a secret, and you want to hide it. How well hidden did you have to be for no one to find you for 8 centuries? If the legend is true, Genghis Khan was perhaps the best secret keeper in history. By the 1990s, the search has entered a new phase. Satellites have begun scanning the surface of Mongolia. Images from space are analyzed centimeter by centimeter. Researchers hope to detect any abnormalities. A strange mound of earth, an artificial structure, a place with an unusual shape, but the result was still zero. There is no tomb. There is no underground palace. Nothing was convincing enough. Many people began to believe that the tomb might have been completely hidden by nature. Remember that nearly 800 years have passed since the time of Genghis Khan. During that period, the mountain is susceptible to landslides. Rivers can change course, forests can grow and then disappear. An area that was once a plain can become a dense forest. All traces can be erased, especially in Mongolia, a vast, almost endless expanse of land. Viewed from above, the grasslands stretch to the horizon. Millions of hectares of barren land, remote mountain ranges. These forests have been virtually untouched by human footsteps. If there were a place in the world capable of concealing a tomb for 8 centuries. This is the place. And then, an unexpected clue emerged. Many historians have drawn attention to a site called Burkhan Kalgan, a sacred mountain located in the Khenti mountain range. According to ancient records, this is a place that Genghis Khan particularly cherished. It is said that he once took refuge here when he was young. I used to pray here, and they regarded this place as sacred land of their ancestors. That led to a fascinating hypothesis. Will he be buried near this mountain? Research teams quickly focused their attention on the area, but the problem arose immediately. This area is heavily guarded, not just because of its historical value, but it also holds spiritual significance for the Mongolian people. Many local residents oppose the digging. They believe that Genghis Khan's resting place should not be disturbed. That makes archaeological work extremely difficult. Unlike excavations in Egypt or Europe, here, archaeologists can dig dozens of meters deep. Here, every step must be taken with extreme caution. And that's precisely what makes the mystery even more intriguing, because sometimes, the hardest thing to find is often the most worthwhile thing to find. By the beginning of the 21st century, ground-penetrating radar technology began to be used. These devices can see through layers of soil and rock, discovering voids or artificial structures located deep underground. Several suspicious areas were scanned. Several unusual signals were recorded. In some places, formations resembling stone walls appeared. In some places, strange empty spaces appeared. But after careful consideration, no findings have been made to definitively confirm that it is a tomb. The hunt continues to be at a standstill. The interesting thing is, each time, the scientists thought they were very close to the answer. That secret slipped through our fingers again. It's as if Genghis Khan himself was deliberately hiding himself from the world. And then a question began to arise. Are we looking in the wrong place? Or is the tomb truly unlike any other known tomb? Because when you think of the tomb of an emperor, people often imagine colossal structures. The pyramids, underground palaces, great monuments. But Genghis Khan was a man of the steppes. He lived in a tent, constant movement. I don't like the extravagance of Eastern emperors. So what if his final resting place is just a simple grave? Not glorious, no grand architecture, no identifying signs. So what? If that's true, perhaps humanity has passed by it hundreds of times without even knowing it. And that's what makes this mystery so special. We're not just looking for a grave, we are searching for a secret that has been successfully guarded for nearly 8 centuries. A secret that defies time, both modern and advanced technology, and also the boundless curiosity of humankind. But the biggest question still lies ahead. If one day the real grave is found, what awaits inside? If the tomb exists, what's inside? Historians believe it could be one of the greatest treasures in history. Gold and silver, treasure, weapons, war relics, priceless artifacts from across Asia and Europe. But perhaps the greatest value isn't the gold itself, it's knowledge. Secrets of the Mongol Empire, previously unknown records. These are the answers that history has yet to provide. This is the most controversial question. Many archaeologists want to find the tomb, but many Mongolians objected. They believe that Genghis Khan should be allowed to rest in peace. That excavating would be an insult to our ancestors, and it breaks sacred tradition. Perhaps that's why. Even if the grave is found, it may not be opened yet. How about you? If one day, the tomb of Genghis Khan were actually found, do you think that secret should be unearthed, or left to lie dormant forever? Please leave your comments below, and who knows? In the next video, we will continue our journey to uncover the greatest remaining mysteries of human history.